Emojis. They made a movie about them, but there's still no emoji video game, and I decided to fix that. So I called my friend Beep, the computer scientist, to help make this dream come true. And also, we have 1 week to do this or else Beep gets amputated. Now, to make a game, we need a project name. And there's only one obvious choice. Bean Game. Now I know what you're wondering. Why on earth did I just name the project Bean Game? Well, you see, every game that's deep and philosophical enough to use emojis needs characters. So I used the power of code to put Beep in an empty void. Beep didn't like that though, because he was lonely in there, and he says being lonely is the big cringe. So to fix that problem, let me introduce our Emoji Game's main character. Meet Bean Lamau. He's an emoji, and he's got a problem. He's gone where all emojis end up. No, not Facebook comments, hell. And for some reason, he doesn't like that. So this game is all about him trying to escape. The problem is, there's no game yet, so it's devlog time. At first, I was just messing around because I had no idea what to do. And then I decided to implement soft bodies. Now I know what you're thinking. What the flip are soft bodies? Well, basically, in games, normal objects go bonk, but soft bodies go splat. Now how do we make Bean and Beep Lamau into soft bodies? I have no idea, but I do have the big think. So this is probably gonna be the big no problem. Okay, so I figured it out. All we had to do was give them digital bones and stick them together with digital springs and do a bunch of other stuff. Anyways, it's time for day 2. I want this to be a mobile game, so I want simple controls. So I added 2 big buttons, almost as big as your brain. Why is your brain so big? I don't know, why don't you tell me? Anyways, you press on the left side of the screen and you move to the left. You press on the right side of the screen and you move to the right. As IGN once said,
with gameplay that made me feel like Spider-Man.
But this game needs risk. So I added lava and a moving camera. Ignore the fact that everyone can literally stand on lava right now. Because you know what time it is? It's time for day 3. So dying is cool, right? Otherwise, why would so many people do it? So I made lava actually lethal now. Bean touches it and bammo kiblamo, he literally blows up. But the game still needs more obstacles. So I went to the Emoji GitHub, and let's just say I borrowed some emojis and fused them together with spikes of lava. And bammo kablamo, they can now also kill Bean Lamau, which is pretty pog. Now, so far I've been manually making all these levels, but that means that every time someone plays the game, it's going to be exactly the same, which is pretty cringe. So it's time to add random generation. With random generation, the game will be able to make its own levels, because I'm too busy crying to do that. The problem is I have no idea how to make randomly generated levels. So I asked Beep, the computer scientist, for help. But Beep was busy, so I asked myself for help. And bammo kablamo, we have infinite random generation. It's day 4 and there's a slight problem. Turns out when you infinitely generate stuff, it can cause lag. And lag is pretty cringe. So to stop it, I added a big red box of doom, which destroys everything. But in other news, we now have numbers that go up. By the way, colors are cool. So now platform colors are also randomly generated. And guess what? I added serialization for the high scores. Now I know what you're thinking. What the flip is serialization? Well, I brought in Beep, the computer scientist, to help me explain it. And he said,
bruh, it's just a fancy word for saving. Stop being a nerd.
And because Beep called me a nerd, I put him back into the game. By the way, just so you know, if you touch Beep, you're pretty cringe. On day 6 I added buttons. One leads to an about page, one is for a special mode, and the bean button, even I don't know what it does. At this point, I lost track of the days. All I know is that the rest took me about 2 to 3 weeks, so I guess Beep's gonna have to get that amputation. Now, I want to put this game on mobile phones, so it's time to apply to be an official Android developer. And wait, this costs money? So to make back almost none of my money, it's time to add game monetization. And the best way to do that on mobile is with ads. But that's when I realized something. I hate mobile ads. So I'm adding a bunch of ways to avoid them, just like I avoid the Genova conventions. Firstly, ads are pretty rare in general, but I'm also adding Pog mode. What is Pog mode? Well, you see, in a lot of mobile games, there's a type of ad called a rewarded ad. These, guess what, give you an award. Usually it's in-game money or something, but in my game, the reward is Pog mode, which has no ads, but does add more visual elements, more colors, and best of all, it gives our good friend Bean Lamau some hair. And then I was ready to submit the game, but that's when something really bad happened. You see, me and my friends started speedrunning a game called Ghost Runner, and it made me want to add an online leaderboard to the game, which is probably pretty easy, right? Then I had to spend like 5 hours doing all the stuff Google wanted me to do in order to submit the game. And it definitely wasn't a hassle bigger than your... But before we upload the game, it's missing something pretty important: music. And I have no idea how to properly write music, and no idea how to learn, because I used all of my free time listening to the epic 2013 song What Does the Fox Say by the Beatles. So we need to go to Fiverr.com to hire someone to make music for us. And this is also gonna cost money, isn't it? Anyways, since the game is super dramatic, I had this song you're listening to right now commissioned. I slapped it into the game and made some epic gamer art for the store page. And after handling more Google stuff, does your game advocate committing acts of terrorism? It was time to upload the game. And then there was another error. Now I'm not gonna lie, this is where I gave up. Bye. JK gamers, never give up. Always give down. If you have a problem, tell the problem to get beamed on. I used the power of online forums and Android Studio to fix the problem. And we now have a store page. Link is in the description, fellow gamers. Download now or else you lose your bacon privileges.